Again, and the Holy Quran couldn't have mentioned it without any meaning or without any inherent message. The Holy Quran tells us that about Hazrat Yusuf, they had also created this wrong notion. It's that old. That first of all, when Yusuf came, they ill-treated him. After he died, they said Allah would never create another prophet. And how many prophets came between Hazrat Yusuf and Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? So why this? This was a message to the Muslims that we are warning you, people before you have misstepped and faltered in this path, and be warned. Don't follow such old people. Some of them ultimately repented. They took care of what we thought and what happened. So that is as far as the positive, clear declaration of the Holy Quran goes. Holy Quran tells us that this concept of not being any other prophet in time after somebody is an erroneous concept which has been held previously by other peoples as well, which was falsified by Allah. That is one thing. Secondly, Allah Ta'ala tells us in the Holy Quran that the very coming of a prophet is a phenomenon which is most loathsome to the people to whom a prophet is sent. So it is just an excuse that we are opposing so and so because he has started the concept of a new prophethood in this and that. The previous prophets, all of them, did not have that blame in their account, because this phenomena was not repeated at the time of every prophet. This allegation was not raised against every prophet that you have become a prophet after so and so while you were not expecting anybody. Other excuses came to their help to oppose a prophet. But without faith, every prophet was hated, and so intensely hated that except for the prophets, no other office bearer from Allah has ever been hated so strongly and intensely. So the most loathsome thing to the people is the concept of prophethood. And this is why it is not easy to claim to be a prophet. The hatred works in two ways. In the first place, the very strong opposition tries its best to root out the claimant and all the paraphernalia along with him. Now, unless he is rooted deeply in Allah's mercy and Allah's favor, this strong opposition is so strong and so powerful and overwhelming that it's impossible for an ordinary person to remain intact and to save him or his followers from that opposition. With the result that these people are destroyed. Either they are killed or their movement is destroyed and wiped out, and nothing is left of such movements. This is why Allah Ta'ala tells us in the Holy Quran, وَلَوْ تَقَوَّلَ عَلَيْنَا بَعْضُ الْأَقَاوِيلِ. But that will come later on. I'll come to that later. Now the second part is that this opposition and strong hostility works in another way. If that prophet that person who claims to be a prophet is not treated with such hostility and then he prospers, it would be very difficult for human beings to judge him to be a righteous man from Allah and a true claimant. Because chances happen, he made a claim and by chance he became prosperous. People could think. But if you feed into the computer all the factors against him and almost no factor in his favor to win against the entire people, then if still he prospers, that is the sign of his truth. So the real solid truth of the Prophet's claim lies mainly in this direction. If despite very strong hostile opposition, he not only survives, he becomes prosperous at every opposition. That is a sign that there is some superhuman power behind. So it serves as a true proof, and it discourages false claimants as well. Because what happens to such prophets or claimants is a very strong discouragement to false claimants. So, once in Australia, 2 years ago, last year, when I spoke at the University of Edinburgh, the question and answer session was quite lengthened out, so much so that in fact we started trespassing on others' times, and we were told to leave, to vacate the hall ultimately. But some students became very interested, and one of them followed me up to the car. And the last thing he mentioned to me was that, look here, now I fully agree with you that whatever we had been told about the biblical concept of Jesus Christ is wrong. We have proved it according to the Bible, that he was never a God, he never claimed to be a God, there is no Trinity, all is acceptable. I also accept that he was liberated from the cross and he survived. But if God has to create someone from among us to be the Messiah, as I understand your notion is, then why shouldn't I be that Messiah? Why shouldn't Allah pick me up as Messiah? I said, there's no reason why. But you know what will happen to you? I said, I have accepted one Messiah, Hazrat Masih Maud Salam, and what happened to him was this, and what is happening to us even after 100 years from that time is this. He said, I'm not going to become a Messiah. Even if I'm not going to accept it. It's too horrible. So the claim in itself is a claim which cannot be falsely made by any man in his full sanity, unless one of the two things happen. Number one, either he has the backing and support of a strong tribe, and a political motivation is there which supports him all in all, or such a person is mad. There is no third possibility. Now you look back at the history of false claimants, in each case they will be distinct from the rest of the prophets in this much, that when they claimed, a strong tribe was always behind them. A strong group of people was supporting them right from the start. While in the true prophethood phenomena, exactly the opposite happens. Previous to the claim, they are very popular. But the moment they make the claim, they are the most hated person suddenly and left entirely alone by the entire world around. Overnight, they lose the entire popularity and remain alone. So instead of going back after this first treatment, they go forward and make more claims which are still more loathsome to the people. For instance, when Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam made the first claim, his claim apparently was addressed to the Meccans, particularly to his family members. Anzir Ashiratak al-Aqrabin. And then it seems to progress into wider circles. And ultimately, in the end, he addressed the whole mankind, it seems, chronologically. This is the order. And this is exactly what the Orientalists have objected against his claim. They say that his claims were the creation of a human being because we see a progress, a development, and a sort of evolution in those claims, as if they were designed by human beings. First, he made a small claim. When ultimately it got digested, he took a step further and so on. Then when he reached Medina, then he claimed to be the prophet of the Jews as well and those of the Christians as well. that of the Christians as well. And then he said ultimately, okay, I am the prophet of the whole